Another Saturday when we bring you your favorite security and safety tonic, Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, the African Independent Television. And on this program, Security Watch Africa, will give you the information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to your program today. My name is Patrick Abambo. Today, I have in the studio, like it has been advertised already, someone who I would say has seen it all in terms of security and military activities in Nigeria. He will telling us what the Nigerian Armed Forces, what they are doing to ensure that Nigerians are safe and our territorial integrity is protected. I will veil him. Maybe I should allow the introduction to talk about, mention his name and who he is. Sit back as we bring you this short introduction of what we're discussing today.
As the fight against terrorism and insurgency in the northeast of Nigeria intensified, a gentleman officer was deployed to take over as the Theater Commander, Northeast Joint Task Force Operation Hadinkai. The officer, whom many were not conversant with his capacity and capability, took over on 18th June 2021, and that officer as at then was Major General Christopher Musa. In the 2 years of his leadership of Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa was able to re-energize and revigorated the fighting machines and personnel to force about 100,000 Boko Haram ISWAP commanders and fighters with their family members to surrender, and this heralded the end of Boko Haram fighting potency. Major General Christopher Musa did not only employ the use of kinetic operations, but expanded the non-kinetic strategy during his tour of duty as Theater Commander, Northeast Joint Task Force Operation Hadinkai. To inculcate his knowledge and experience to other Nigerian Army infantry personnel, Major General Christopher Musa was again posted to take over as the Commandant Infantry Corps Center, Jaji, Kaduna State on 20th January 2023. While there, he initiated several exercises to sharpen the capacity of personnel, and with the approval of the then Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, retired, he reformed and updated the training manual. With the advent of a new political dispensation in Nigeria, the President Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on 19th June 2023, appointed the then Major General Christopher Musa as the 18th Chief of Defense Staff of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. After his confirmation by the National Assembly, he was formally decorated with the 4-star rank as a general. Since then, General Christopher Musa have introduced his leadership concept for the Armed Forces of Nigeria, which is to nurture a professional Armed Forces of Nigeria that is people-centric, capable of meeting its constitutional responsibilities in a joint and collaborative environment. To explain in details what this leadership concept is all about, we have in the studio the Acting Director, Defense Information, Defense Headquarters, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau.
Welcome back. Like you had there, you already had his name. I will have with me in the studio live. It's not easy to get him because he's always very busy. And just like you can see the uniform he's wearing is for the bush. Most of the time they are in the forest and anywhere the trouble is. But it's a pleasure to have you in the studio, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio to look at the Armed Forces of Nigeria and the new look we're having now is at least getting better than it used to be. But let me find out from you, how strong or how capable is the Armed Forces of Nigeria to protect Nigerians?
Thank you very much for that question. We all know that the Armed Forces of Nigeria, under the leadership of General C.G. Musa, has been performing its constitutional roles as stipulated in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Right from the day he was appointed, he made it very, very clear that he is out to ensure that the Armed Forces of Nigeria continue to play its constitutional roles. And shortly after his inauguration, he come up with his leadership concept. Within that leadership concept, he was able to articulate his position, where he want to take the armed forces of Nigeria to, the level he want the armed forces of Nigeria to. Yes.
Okay, maybe first of all, on behalf of millions of Nigeria who felt or who is still feeling saddened by the incident that happened recently in Niger State, where we lost gallant soldiers and officers of both the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Air Force. I would say maybe convey our sincere sympathy to their families and the armed forces. But let's look at it. How did the system, are the forces, are they discouraged by these incidents?
No, certainly no. Though it's a setback, but you see, in operations, you cannot rule out things like that. It's unfortunate, it has happened, and we have already issued our press release. The Chief of Defense Staff was in Kaduna last week to, commiserate with the families of those that lost their lives. The Chief of Air Staff also do the same. And we want to assure Nigerians that as long as General C.G. Musa is the Chief of Defense Staff, we ensure that this kind of setbacks are well addressed. And at this point in time, I wish to, thank Nigerians for showing concern about what happened, and to also advise those that were insinuating certain, things that are not supposed to be, that they should please not be involved in that kind of commentaries about what happened. We all know that whenever there is any air crash, the investigation takes quite a long time. We all know what is involved when there are air crashes. A lot of technicalities are involved. In some cases, you even have to go as far as involving the manufacturers of that, aircraft, helicopter, or that equipment. So at this point in time, I request Nigerians to please give us the opportunity to investigate what happened. Whenever the report is ready, we assure them we'll make it known to Nigerians.
Okay.
Thank you.
Though I know that maybe as we go in this conversation, we may have to look at the attitude of Nigerians towards helping to break the news.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that there are supposed to be traditional ways of breaking news in the system.
Yes.
But let me find out, because some people were worried. Some months ago, it seems that these incidents of bandits and terrorists have reduced a bit, or we're not hearing much of it. But it seems that in the last few weeks, there is a kind of spike in reporting. What is happening? I hope we're not losing grip of our lands.
No. Certainly we are not losing grip. I want to assure Nigerians we are on top of the game. Though, like I said earlier on, there will be setbacks here and there, but Nigeria should not be discouraged. The armed forces of Nigeria is equal to the task. We are doing our best to ensure that Nigeria, is secured. People can do their constitutional duties, their responsibilities as enshrined in their constitution. The Chief of Defense Staff has made it very abundantly clear that the armed forces of Nigeria would do everything possible to secure this nation. In fact, in his leadership concept, he talked exclusively about how he intends to ensure that the armed forces of Nigeria, their welfare is well taken care of. They also collaborate with other security agencies to ensure that Nigeria remains secured.
Yeah.
I assure you will see a new vigor out of all these things that happen.
Okay. I think also we'll come into that details about the leadership concept. But let's look at, again, because when this was sent out, a lot of people say, oh, Patrick, make sure you let us have answers to some of the questions that agitate the minds of Nigerians. Let me ask you this direct question. Would the Nigerian Armed Forces be participating in going to attack in Niger Republic?
Well, this is a decision of the ECOWAS. Like, you know, our president, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the ECOWAS chairman, and our own Chief of Defense Staff is also the chairman of the ECOWAS Committee of the Chiefs of Defense Staff. Our own is to take instruction. Whatever our political masters decided, if at the Committee of the Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS decided that the last option is the military option, certainly Nigeria will play a key role.
But if they said no, that dialogue
yes,
should continue.
like military option is the last option. It was mentioned. It is the last option. There are other diplomatic, economic, political, and other options. As you can see, was it last week, some Islamic clerics went to meet the, you know, the military junta in Niger. Also, the former emir of Kano was there. So there are other, you know, avenues, other means of getting an end to this political, you know, development in Niger. But if, in case everything fell, the ECOWAS Committee of the Head of State and Government are the ones to decide the next step. But we are ready.
Okay. Yeah, I know. For me, I know that the Armed Forces of Nigeria is ready, and they are not afraid of any assignments given to them.
No.
But one of those assignments, some Nigerians have actually expressed their desire. I know that the Armed Forces of Nigeria is not involved in politics.
Yes.
They want to remain obedient to the
Yes.
constituted authority. But some people have called for military takeover in Nigeria. Do you think that, where do you think this is coming from? Because you have also made a response to that
we have
earlier.
commented on that.
Yes.
Actually, what happened, we saw online reports,
Yes.
you know, saying there is need for the military, you know, to interfere. And we said, no, this is a wrong, assessment of the situation in Nigeria. So we come up with a press release that, look, the Armed Forces of Nigeria is happy and better under democracy. Look at the platforms, the equipment, you know, we are getting. In the last 8 years of former President Buhari's administration, for example, the Air Force, they have more than 70 aircrafts. We never had it this good. The last time we had major boost in our, you know, equipment holding was during Shagari's regime. Throughout the military period, to some extent, the military itself was neglected in terms of, you know, procurement of key assets for our operations. But now we are better. You know, our welfare needs are being attended to promptly. So why should anybody think of truncating democracy in any way? It's not even something that is accepted globally. You know, it's something that is no longer fashionable. General C.G. Musa has made it very clear we are ready to defend the Constitution of Nigeria with our last blood, last drop of blood.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
We are seeing some of your officers doing that,
Yes.
paying the supreme price.
Yes.
Really, I think Nigerians must be very grateful to the Armed Forces of Nigeria. But let's come to this point of this terrorism. I know that it's something that Nigeria never prepared for. But looking at what experience we have gathered since the advent of terrorism in Nigeria, the Armed Forces of Nigeria has taken hold of it. Would you say that now our three different arms of the armed forces, they are now more equipped to be able to face any challenges that comes to this country?
Yes, I agree with you. Terrorism is not something that actually we prepared for in the last, let's say, 15, 20 years, you know, but if you look at the global phenomena now, Nigeria is not the only country that is affected by terrorism and other form of insecurities, you know. If you look at the West Africa sub-region, quite a number of countries are affected. So we are not unmindful of the developments within the region. So based on that, we ensure that, in the first place, our own training needs are tailored towards addressing this kind of issues. For example, in our depot in Zaria, we make sure our training is tailored towards ensuring that the moment these recruits come out of the depot, they are launched straight into the theater of operations. The same thing with our Nigerian Defense Academy. As young officers, the moment they come out, they are launched into the field. And we are getting a lot of response, which are very positive. So we'll continue to do our own best to ensure that everything the armed forces need to do within its constitutional limit will apply to ensure that Nigeria becomes safe for people to conduct their own responsibilities as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay. Now, we have seen in the media for some time some people saying that some soldiers who either they have interviewed them or discussed said that they are not happy with the system, their welfare is not taken care of, so they want to resign, they want to leave the system. Do you think there is situations like that?
I'm not sure this kind of reports are right, but you know, there are people that never wish the country very well. One of the ways they can, you know, perpetuate whatever they want to do is trying to, you know, discredit the armed forces of Nigeria. We never had any report of soldiers saying they are tired, their welfare is not taken care of, therefore they want to go. But in other words, sometimes people twist certain things. I remember sometimes ago, there was a document which was leaked, which shows that some soldiers that spent 35 years in service are supposed to proceed to the Oshodi for their training, which will exactly. But it was twisted to show as if the soldiers were disgruntled, they have put in their paper, they want to leave because their welfare has not been taken. The truth is that they have spent their 35 years, they have been prepared to go on honorable retirement, discharge.
So that is the true situation.
Yes.
You know, we have had also some allegations of religious bias, tribal bias, and all that. I know that the armed forces is a collection of every system in Nigeria, both the tribes and language and religion.
When you say, I mean, biasness in the area of religion, tribe, I don't really get it. Because if you go to an average military barracks or bases in Nigeria,
yes,
you see a mini Nigeria. There is everybody there. You see, you know, for example, a mosque and a church co-located. Some, they don't even have a fence in between them. People cohabit, you know, perfectly, you know, without any hindrance, you know. People are so happy, they blend together. You find each and every tribe in Nigeria in all the barracks you go to. So I don't know where this is coming from. I think if you want to see Nigeria in unity, go to any typical barracks in Nigeria. So a few days ago, I had the Minister Designate for Arts and Culture, Hajia Hannatu Musawa. She's, you know, talking of how she intends to unify the country, how she intends to change the narrative, wrong narrative of our Nigerians. I said, well, I think she should come to the barracks and see how, you know, Nigerians are united. Maybe from there she can take a template that she can apply all over the nation. But in the area of religious, you know, what do you call it?
Biasness,
there is nothing like that. You see, let me tell you something very interesting about the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa. General C.G. Musa was born and brought up in Sokoto State. That's the center of the Caliphate. He had his primary school in Sokoto, his secondary school in Sokoto. He still has his strong roots in Sokoto. Most of his friends, they are in Sokoto. In fact, if he's speaking Hausa, you assume he's a typical Sokoto man because he was born and brought up there. And he also married from Delta. So what a Nigerian can be more than this. So with this kind of leadership, it will be difficult for anybody to allege that there is religious or tribal sentiment in the Nigerian armed forces. is very difficult.
Okay, since we're talking about already the General C.G. Musa, now let's talk about the last prong of his leadership concept, talking about joint and contributory operations. How is it working to ensure that this synergy that which we saw him carry that in the Northeast and the other places he's been? How would he be able to make sure these three arms of the armed forces work closely in operations?
You see, if you look at the, experience of General Musa since he joined the Nigerian Army in 1991, up to the time he became the Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa has gone through a lot. He has commanded troops both in war and in peacetime. He has commanded, he was a commander in the Nigerian Army depot in Zaria. That is where you train, soldiers for the Nigerian Army. Normally, the training takes thousands. So for you to administer thousands, that number, to certain level of compliance, as we all know, we are in a war, whether we like it or not. But we are in a war, like I said earlier on. So preparing this number of men to go to the war front entails a lot of administration, lot of planning, and quite a lot is involved. He has contributed a lot towards, training the manpower need of the Nigerian Army, particularly in this insurgency problem. Now, going back to your question about the third leadership pillars of General Musa's leadership concept, which is deepening jointness in armed forces of Nigeria. Like I said, his experience has prepared him a lot to realize that jointness is very, very important. As a former theater commander in one of the in the largest theater of operation in Nigeria,
and the most critical.
The most critical.
Yeah.
This has, put him at a vantage position to understand that jointness is key, because we have all sorts. We have the Air Force in the Northeast.
Yes.
We also have the Nigerian Navy in the Lake Chad region. So he has seen it all. So he appreciates the fact that this jointness has to be sustained at the highest level. So that is why in one of his leadership pillars, he come up with deepening jointness in the armed forces of Nigeria. And so far is doing very well. The relationship between the services is fantastic. And not just the services, but also other security agencies. Because General Musa believes the armed forces of Nigeria cannot do it alone. We are not an island. We need to partner, we need to collaborate with other security agencies that are also constitutionally responsible for certain aspects in our national infrastructure. And not just security agencies. We also have a duty to collaborate with other government and even non-government organizations to ensure that we provided the needed peace and stability in our country, so that our democracy can be enhanced, our democracy will be well-rooted and institutionalized in Nigeria, so that we can also be, the biggest democracy in Africa.
Okay. One of the pillars is actually talking about the welfare of the troops.
Yes.
Because, in fact, recently at the Nigerian Media celebration in Ibadan, where he made a remark, he emphasized on the troops, because without the troops, there's no soldier, there's no the service.
Yes.
So how will it go about that? Because there's so much that we need to be done.
Let me tell you. Immediately after he took over as the Chief of Defense Staff, one of the things he did was to organize what we call a DOBA. He started with the soldiers. He said he don't even want any officer there. He wanted to talk with the least soldier, that private man, I mean, that private soldier that is in defense headquarters, you want to hear from him. He started off to, departmental chiefs. So this is to show you his leadership qualities, are enshrined in, ability to provide, welfare for the armed forces he's commanding. So the soldiers were so happy. I think for a very long time, that's the first time the chief of defense staff is sitting with soldiers to hear their only directly. And he asked for a report to be compiled, and he has started doing that. The issues of uniform, issues of housing, issue of maybe increment in allowances and the rest, quite a lot of them. He's just coming, he's 2 years old today. So we have to give him that benefit of doubt. But I want to assure you.
Not 2 years,
I mean, 2 months old, sorry.
Yes.
He's 2 months old. He was appointed 19th July 2023, so
yes.
he's 60 days
yes.
today. And within that period, we have seen a lot, and he's doing a lot.
Okay.
And he intends to do a lot for the armed forces of Nigeria.
All right. It's entirely, I don't know. We're getting signal that time is up. There's a lot to talk about, people-centric and a lot of other things. But maybe in a sentence, we know we have crisis in the North Central. We have a team, the Operation Safe Haven. We have in the Northwest. We have in the Northeast. We have in the Southeast. We have in South-South. We have how do you think is the armed forces ready to ensure that these places, at least, they are relatively safe for Nigerians?
I have said it earlier. The Chief of Defense Staff, from the day he took over from General Irabo, in his inaugural address, he said, no any inch in Nigeria will be under the influence of any bandit, any terrorist, or any criminal element. He want to ensure that Nigerians can go to bed and sleep, Nigerians can move around, perform their duties as enshrined in the Constitution, and also interrelate with others accordingly.
Okay. On that note, we will have to end this. I will call this a part one with your permission and the Defense Headquarters permission. This is part one because there are a lot of other things to talk about. But it's really our pleasure having you in the studio today.
Thank you very
so
much. Thank you very much.
We look forward to having you again so that Nigerians will get to understand that today armed forces are people-centric and people-friendly and not those scary type and those who discourage people from coming closer. But if you have enjoyed watching us today, please do try to watch us again next week. Make effort to watch us next week, or follow our social media platforms, and so you can watch previous editions of this program, or follow us on all our Facebook accounts where you will stream live so that we can give you information you need to keep your life safe and secure. Until I come your way again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.